What's up, everybody? My favorite playoff round is here, the divisional playoffs. Everybody who had a bye in the wild card round is now playing, and we begin talking about the Green Bay Packers facing off against the Seattle Seahawks. Game happening out in Lambeau Field. Seattle's had some tough luck out there. 9 losses in 10 games in its history, 8 consecutive losses. Russell Wilson 0-3 out in Lambeau, 3 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He's 4-3 against Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers 3 wins at Lambeau, and Wilson's 4 wins out in CenturyLink Field. So one thing that I really want to keep an eye on in this game, and Green Bay's favored by 4. Seattle's 11-2 in one-score games. So if this is a close game, and also 8-1 on the road, that trend favors Seattle. So that's something for us to keep an eye on. But Russell Wilson was the most pressured quarterback in the NFL during the year. He was pressured on 37% of his dropbacks. Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith combined for 25.5 sacks. A couple weeks ago, I commentated the Vikings and the Packers primetime games. Zadarius Smith just absolutely dominated the Vikings offensive line. So he's capable of really, really messing up a game. He had 63 pressures this year, is the best mark in the NFL. So Russell Wilson really needs to be careful. Wilson, we know he can escape pressure. He did so last week against Philadelphia. But the Seattle, I mean, to count on that every weekend is just, it's just too hard. Okay, so Seattle needs to run a little bit with the ball. Travis Homer, Marshawn Lynch haven't done anything in the last couple weeks. Okay, so we know that Green Bay has had trouble against the run all year. Week 17 against Detroit, they gave up 6.8 yards per carry. So I think Seattle will have some opportunities, but I just don't see the explosiveness in Marshawn Lynch right now. So if Seattle wins, I think it's going to be because of Russell Wilson and his passes to DK Metcalf, who faces off against Kevin King, who can be had on some deep balls, okay? And Tyler Lockett facing off against Jair Alexander. Those two matchups are going to be absolutely key for Seattle. If Russell Wilson leads the league in passing yards this week in the divisional round, you might put some money in your pocket if you bet on him. Bet 100, put 450 in your pocket. He's at plus 450 to lead the league this week in passing yards, and I think if Seattle wins, that might just happen. But I really like Green Bay. Green Bay 7-1 at home during the year. They're favored by 4. The over/under is 46.5. I see something close to 24-20, so I bet the under. Okay, Kansas City against Houston. They faced off in Week 6. Houston won in Kansas City, running the ball and controlling the clock. But this defense is completely different. Last 6 weeks, Houston led the NFL in interceptions. Kansas City led the NFL in interceptions. They gave up 11.5 points per game. In the last 3 ball games, they gave up 87 rush yards per game. So I think Houston's going to want to establish the run with Carlos Hyde and take some pressure off Deshaun Watson, who escaped pressure. He was pressured basically all game against Buffalo. He was sacked 6 times, but he escaped pressure in the latter part of that game to lead his team to victory. I don't know. I just see Kansas City as a stronger team right now. Juan Thornhill, rookie safety, had been playing so well, tore his ACL in Week 17. That's something that could impact this game. Houston covered last week against Buffalo. In their last 9 games after covering, 1 win, 7 losses, and 1 tie. Kansas City, the under has hit in 5 out of the last 6 Kansas City games. And I really think the over-under, which is 50, I think it's going to go under. And I think Kansas City might cover the spread. I really think Kansas City might win this game going away. Okay, the 49ers facing off against the Minnesota Vikings. Oh, this is going to be a good one. Dalvin Cook ran 28 times last week. Is he going to be tired? Is he going to be tired? I mean, the game was on Sunday. This game is on Saturday. Listen, the last 30 teams who played on Sunday in the wild card round and then on Saturday in the divisional playoffs, last 30 teams, 9-21. Okay? So, I mean, rest is huge here. And injuries are huge also because San Francisco seems to be getting healthy at the right time with Jaquiski Tart, safety, and Quan Alexander and D. Ford coming back. Probably coming back for this ball game. So if they can pressure Kirk Cousins, they can stop the run. Obviously, they're going to have great chances of winning. The Vikings 1-5 in their last 6 games after covering. They're big underdogs last week and ended up winning by 6 points in overtime. If Dalvin Cook leads the league this week in rushing, he's at plus 400 to do so. Could be a interesting little side bet because I think he's going to be key again for the Minnesota Vikings. Okay, Tennessee against Baltimore. Baltimore's favored by 9.5 points, over under 49. Teams that were at least 9-point underdogs lost 9 out of the last 10 games in the playoffs since 2011. Okay? Derrick Henry ran the ball 34 times last week against New England. I just see Baltimore as a more physical defense. Baltimore has faced off against Derrick Henry 2 times. He ran the ball 15 times for only 47 yards combined in those ball games. Baltimore, after losing to the Chargers last year in the playoffs with Lamar Jackson playing very poorly, has a chip on its shoulder. John Harbaugh, I love him in the playoffs. I really think the Ravens are gonna roll here to a win. Okay, the 6th seed has lost 8 consecutive divisional playoff games and have lost 19 out of the last 24 ball games. An interesting side bet: Ryan Tannehill is plus 1,200 to lead the league in passing this week. If they stop Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill, who led the league in yards per attempt during the regular season, hits A.J. Brown and Jonnu Smith and Corey Davis and those boys, you never know what could happen. I really don't see it happening because I like Marlon Humphrey, I like Marcus Peters, Earl Thomas, and that Baltimore secondary. But hey, you never know, right? I really like Baltimore to cover the spread, and I think the under will hit. Those are my predictions. All right, guys. Talk soon. Have a great week.